We're got a couple bills in government affairs this afternoon. I think we're going to start, if I ask my trusty left hand, 980, is that right?
Yes.
980. Representative Powell, I think we got a substitute that Representative Spencer is going to.
That's correct.
Originally, this came from Chairman Powell, Chairman Reinders, Clark, Spencer, Bentley, combination of lots of folks. So 980, thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring you House Bill 980. It's Chairman Powell's bill. I got involved with this legislation because I dropped House Bill 946, which essentially amends the same code section. And what we sort of figured out together with the help of GMA is my language and his language are very similar. So what he was trying to do was make it where if nobody qualified in a municipal election, that the local governing authority would be able to open up qualifying, a week later after that qualifying had ended, so they don't have to do a special election, which incurs cost on the local government to do that. And so what my language did is essentially strike out the words last on lines 19 and also on lines 40 to make that to be the third Monday in August for qualifying when it's traditionally the last Monday. The reason for this language is I represent two municipalities that have general elections or have municipal elections in even-numbered years. There's about over 20 of those in the state of Georgia. More are going to that because it saves money on these elections. So I represent two of them, and what we're finding out is that there's a little bit of a tug-of-war with the Secretary of State's office and some of their charters. And so what I want to do is clarify that and make it consistent with both even and odd number year municipal elections to make sure that we're consistent and everybody qualifies. I'm bumping it up 1 week to the third Monday in August. And that's essentially what the bill does.
Thank you, Representative. Any questions? Yes, just a comment. We got it.
Yeah, we heard this bill in subcommittee yesterday. Good bill. It actually protects the military ballots coming in with the extra week in
Correct.
there.
That's why yes.
And the other side of that is, again, you get some of these smaller municipalities running elections in off years, the rotation in the odd numbered years does cost some of these small municipalities a lot of money, and the third thing I think is qualifying in March and having an election in November. For essentially a lot of these are nonpartisan races too. It's just a long time between qualifying and the elections.
Right. There's a big 7, 8 month lame duck period, and that's not good for governance. And so that's what this eliminates.
Thank you.
Now you just caught my attention. Sometimes you can make a sell and then buy it back. Did you just tell me that we changed the length of time?
Well, what's happening in the even number of years qualifying, what's happening is because I mentioned there's a tug-of-war between the Secretary of State's office and the local governments. The local governments are under the assumption that they're still operating and being able to qualify in August. But because of the court order that we were under a few years ago, where those of us that have to qualify in even number of years, we have to qualify in March to ensure that those military absentee ballots get back in time. What that has created is about a 7 or 8 months period of a lame duck period for those that traditionally qualify in August. And so what I'm doing with this language is to allow that qualification to traditionally continue to occur instead of having them qualify in March.
They get to qualify
with this bill in August, as they've always done. Yes.
Any other things you want to make us aware of, Tom? Representative Price.
Just to clarify again about the third Monday instead of what previously was the last Monday?
Right. The current law is the last Monday in August. What I'm doing is bumping it up 1 week to say third Monday in August.
Right, but it says no earlier than. So do we want to fix it, or do we want to fix it in as to that date, or what's keeping them from staying at the regular date?
Well, my intent is to make it that third Monday in August. That is my intent. So if we do need to change that, if it's not clear, we can defer the Ledge Counsel. He kind of assisted me with this language.
Well, I think if the idea is to keep it the period broad, then to say no earlier than may not achieve that.
Well, no earlier is already existing language. So that no earlier is already in the law. So the only thing we're changing is that we're saying, instead of saying last, we're saying third.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, that language is really that week is what that language is. If you look over the third Monday and then later the following Friday, a lot of municipalities are very small and they don't want to have qualifying open all week. So we've basically given them that here that week.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was bad that we had some of those small municipalities that had to have early voting for 21 days earlier. But that's a whole nother bill.
But we'll pick that week there. But if you only want like 2 days of qualifying, you can choose 2 days during that week.
Okay, that's right. I mean, they'd have several days to qualify during that time. That's correct.
Thank you, Representative Price. Any other questions? Well, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion second to pass. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. And substitute to 980 passes. Thank you. Representative Bentley. No. We're going to stand in recess for about, 30 seconds or so, maybe a little longer. You beat on me for a hearing for how long? How many weeks, you think?
Several weeks.
House Bill 860, Representative Bentley.
Thank you. There we are. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members, and I do apologize for my tardiness. I got a little sidetracked in my office, so I'm sorry. But House Bill 860, LC 287790, dealing with corners. Yesterday I had opportunity to present this bill in front of the Subcommittee of Government Affairs, and just as I shared with them on yesterday, this bill was brought forth because of a situation that happened in my district. We all elected officials. We all had to qualify and go through the process of running a campaign and buying campaign material and putting out yard signs and going through that whole process. So we know about what it feels like to go through a campaign and going through that process. But just imagine you've gone through that process and you bought all these campaign signs and you've done all this, and then later learn that you're ineligible to run for office. And that's what happened in my area. Gentleman that was convicted of a felony when he was 17. Later in life, received a pardon by the parole board, became the fire chief of his city, upstanding citizen in his community, done a lot of great things in his community, and after he retired, he started working for a funeral home and decided that he wanted to run for coroner. Qualified to run for coroner in May, and then in October of 2012, during the early voting period, it was brought to his attention that due to current state law, he's ineligible to run for the position of coroner. And he thought that he was eligible to run because he had received a pardon by the parole board. But later to learn that because due to current law, he was not eligible to run for coroner. Even if you have a pardon by the parole board, you're still ineligible to run for the position of coroner in the state of Georgia. So House Bill 860 will fix that law, the current law, where individuals who want to run for the position of coroner only with a pardon from the parole board will have that opportunity to run for the position of coroner. Now, Mr. Chairman, it will be up to the voters of that area if they want to elect that person, but my bill is only asking for those individuals that want to seek the position of coroner for their county, who had one time been convicted of a felony, had their rights restored, and received a pardon by the parole board, only if they received the pardon by the parole board, will be eligible to run for the position of coroner. Because currently in the state of Georgia, you can run for county commissioner, I believe state representative, and others if you've had your rights restored and received a pardon, but you can't for this position of coroner. So that's what HB 860 is all about, and I ask for your favorable consideration and passage of this piece of legislation.
Thank you so much, and it's good to hear you talk about the people have the right to choose. I'll remind you of that when we move on to other initiatives later on down the road.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Because we believe in the right to choose on a variety of different issues, correct?
We do.
And he didn't know that he couldn't run, if I may. He didn't know he couldn't run when he was bought all of his signs and all.
Right. Because here again, he was...
Did he know he broke the law when he broke it?
Did he know he broke the law?
Mm-hmm. When he became a felon. Was that an accident too?
Well, if you... May I share the story of how he became a felon?
I just want to know if he knew he broke the law when he was first convicted.
According to what he tells me, no, he did not realize.
Okay.
He did not realize what he'd done by giving someone a ride was that he had committed a felony.
All right. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion. Got a motion to pass. Second. Any discussion? Representative Price.
Are there any other categories of running or activities that are not pardonable? What categories was this previously in?
The position of sheriff. You can't run for the position of sheriff in the state of Georgia if you have received a pardon as well.
I mean, if you have a felony.
If you have a felony, right, if you had your right,
still
can't run for the position of sheriff in the state of Georgia. And that's why I'm keeping this only to the coroners,
right,
not to the sheriff, because that's going to open up, in my opinion, a bigger can
right.
of worms.
Do you know of any other elected offices or similar?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Lack of restoration?
No, ma'am, I don't. Those are only two that I was aware of that fit into that category. And I had a chance to attend the hearing that was held on this, and the attorney present kept stating that of all of the...
Then I got to ask, was that a close friend or a family member since you attended?
Yes, constituent.
Okay. We've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Congratulations. House Bill 860 passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
members
We are
of this
dismissed.
committee.